So now for this, I have created a class called person. Now I want to store all this information. So a name can be of string value. If you know a string, or if you do not know a string, then a name is a word, alphabetical set of alphabet, right? Is an whole number, you can say. It can't be decimal. City is again a string value. String value means word. Gender is again a character. M or F you can write, right? Or you can also write male, female. That can also be a word string. So now there are four data, and out of this four, one is a whole number and three are the word string. But my problem is how I should write all these thing in my program so that name will only store word, age will only store integer, city will only store word, any word or any string value. Gender will also store a string value. How it is possible? How should I define all these things in my program? As of now, I can just write name, age, city, and next gender. Right. But just by writing this thing, I still it is not defined like how I should write name equal to, like if I write name equal to, let's suppose honey, age equal to, let's suppose 30, city equal to, let's suppose Kolkata, gender equal to male. So this is what I can write, but still it is giving some error. It is showing some error, right? The reason behind it, I haven't still defined like this name will store in string value, this age will store only string value, right? So how should I define this? Like age will store an integer value, name will store only string value. So for there is a concept called data type. So whenever you are storing some value, whenever you are dealing with the data, first of all, you have to define the data type. Like that will store which type of data. So there is a two data type, primitive and non-primitive. What is primitive data type? Under primitive data types, all this comes. The data type defines the value that a variable can take. For example, if a variable has an integer data, then it will only store integer value. In Java, we have 8 primitive data types. All these are there. This primitive data type do not change from one operating system to another. It means in Windows, if you create a data type, right, and if you store some value, and if you copy the same program to the Mac OS, then its value will not change. Its value will remain 10 only. Its value will remain 15 only. Its value will remain 20 only. The primitive data types value will not change from one operating system to another operating system. Or you can also say in window, if integer store integer value, then in macOS also integer will store integer value only. And the syntax will also be same. Its syntax will also be same. Its syntax, its type, its value will not change from operating system. Okay. Now this is a diagram data type. This is a primitive data type, integer, floating, character, and boolean. Under this integer, we have byte, short, integer, and long. Among this, we use mostly integer. If the number is small, if the number is very big, then we go to the long. But mostly with the help of integer, our purpose is resolved. Okay. Similarly, for floating type, we have float and double. Mostly we use float, but again, if the decimal floating is basically used to store decimal number. If the decimal number is big, then we go to the double. If its length is more, then we go to the double. To store a character like A, B, C, D, we have a char data type. To store a boolean, booleans means it will have two values, true and false. Let's suppose a condition. If condition becomes correct, then it will be true. If condition becomes false, then it will store a value called false. So boolean has a two state. One is true and second one is false. All these are comes under primitive data type. Second one is non-primitive data type. Now this comes classes, interfaces, arrays, and a string. Classes we are currently doing. We are creating a class. So class is a non-primitive data type. As I said in my document, if you remember, I have written a line. Class is a data type of an object, right? And I said you will not see written anywhere. That you will just get to know once I will complete that program. Classes is also a non-primitive data type. Interface is also a non-primitive data type. Array and string. These four are non-primitive data types. So we have these two data types, which we have to remember. So now we know about the data type. Now we can define the data type. This name will store string value. So its data type will be string. And it is a non-primitive data type, right? String is a non-primitive
No,
data
no.
type.
Why they called as non-primitive basically?
Because primitive data type, if you see, it doesn't change from the operating system. But this changes with the operating system. Like syntax will be different. In
Okay,
classes,
syntax will be
interfaces,
different.
array, and syntax will be different for the non-primitive.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So string has a name. Name is a what is name? What is age? What is city? What is gender? In from this diagram, I have just written right. But what is this actually? This is nothing but a variable. I want to store a data, but where I can store a data? For that, I have to create a variable. This is the first thing. Second thing, I want to store an integer data. So I have to create a variable. So what will be the type of variable? The type of variable will be, let's suppose I want to store an age. So age is always an integer. So first of all, I will create an variable. So age is a variable that will store data, but I also have to define the type. Once I write int, yes, to store integer, we have int data type. This syntax you have to remember. So once you write int, now age will only store integer value. And once you are writing any line, any command, after that you have to write semicolon. After every command, you have to write semicolon. To end that command, you have to write semicolon, right? Similarly, city will also be string, gender will also be string. And once you are defining, once you wants to store a string value, so that value you have to define under double quote. This is for a string, not for everything, not for integer, only for a string. If you want to store any string value, then you have to define that value inside a double quote. Now see all errors are gone, right? Now no error is displaying, right? So we have defined this from this diagram. We have defined this thing in the class. As I said, we can define all this thing in a class only. Now next thing, my next requirement is to print all these details on the console. This is my next requirement. Okay. So how it is possible? In order to print, first of all, I have to access all these variables. Now, name is a variable, age is a variable, city is a variable, gender is a variable, right? So how I can access all these variables? Then only first I can access, then only I can print. All these are available in a class. And you know that class doesn't have any physical existence. It will get a physical existence when I will create an object. Okay, so as of now, what I'm doing, I'm removing all this value from here. Why? You will understand. Just give me some time. As of now, I'm removing all the value from here. I'm just making it generic. I'm just making it generic. This is a generic one. Now, what I will do, I will create a class object of this class. So how you can create an object of this class?
New keyword.
With the help of new keyword. So you will write new, and then you have to write this class name. Once you write this, an object has been created in the memory. How it will look like? New boy, once you write, it will look like this. Forget about this one. Just ignore this one as of now. Just see this diagram. Name, address, age. In my case, it will be name, age, city, and gender. So these four boxes will be created in the memory, and this is how it will take the memory space. Before writing this line, all these are imaginary. There is no space in the memory. There is no existence. Once you have written all this line, now all this will be created. All these four variables, it will occupy some memory space in the memory. Okay. Now we also need a reference that will refer to this memory, like it is available in memory, but how I can access it? I should know like what is the reference or what is the location where all these variables are stored. I want to know that location, right? Then only I can access those from the memory. So in order to know that location, I have to create a reference. So how you can create a reference? You can create a reference with the help of a variable. Let's suppose I want to create a reference called Sunny. And since I'm creating an object of person, so the type of object will be person only. So I want to define a person called Sunny. This is my reference of this object. Now this apart from in place of obj, just imagine Sunny is written. Sunny is written. Okay. Now this Sunny is an object reference of this variables. That this object now has been referred by this variable, and this variable is known as reference variable. This is not an object. This is you are creating. This is once you write this line, this is creating an object. But you have to give a name to that object, right? So you have to give a name in that way. You have to create a reference variable to give the name of that object. And you also have, like when you create an object, you have to define a data type. You are creating an object of this class. So its data type will also be the same class name, right? So that is why I said like a class is also a data type of an object. Once you create an object, you have to define its data type. And what can be the type of an object? I am creating an object for a class. So definitely the class will be the data type for that object. So this is the actual definition of this single line. This is just creating the object. And this is you are giving a name to that object. This is the name. And this is a actually in program, this is a variable, and the variable name is reference variable. Okay. Now what I want to do, I want to store some value on this space, on this
Can we
memory space.
assume can we assume that variable as a pointer, just like
No, this is not a pointer because it will just refer to this its value, not its address. This has the authority to just refer the value that I am going to store over here, not the location. Like this name is stored at a memory location. So this object cannot access that location. It can only access the value. Okay, pointer can access memory address. A variable can access value. So this is a variable, not a pointer. Okay. Now I want to store some value. How I can do that? With the help of this object, sunny dot, I will call name. Once you write sunny dot, just wait for some time. You will see all the options that you have created in the class.
I guess it should be in capital letters.
Sorry. Oh
Yes,
yeah, it is capital, right? Correct. S dot. Now you see the options: age, city, gender, name. These four you have created. All these are by default available by Java. So we will focus on these four. You can call age. You can define an age. Then you can write sunny dot city. You can define city. Then you can call sunny dot gender. Now you can define gender. Then you can call sunny dot. What is left? Name, right? So I can write a name. Instead of writing sunny, you can write here person also. Now this P is small, this P is capital, so don't confuse with it. This is a class, this is an object name. Okay. So now with the help of this object, you have stored the data information of a particular person. Name is Sunny. Okay.
The person is a data type, is it? Like whatever you mentioned, it's a data type of the variable.
Uh, Sorry.
No, the person, the
Ah,
capital person, is a data type, right? Data type of the
object.
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 This is actually class, but here it is acting as a data type for this object.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So this one you have defined. Now I want to see all this data on my console. Like there is a command in Java, system.out.println. What it will do? It will print the values that you have stored. So you want to print the data for this name, for this age, for each city, for gender, right? But how you can access all this? How you can access all this with the help of object only? So directly you cannot write name because that is not possible. Whatever you are defining in a class, you can access those with the help of an object only. Remember always this thing. You cannot access it directly here. You have to access with the help of object. Especially in the main method, I'm saying. In the main method, if you want to access anything that is defined in a class, that you have to access by creating an object. Then only it is possible. Okay. One by one you can access. Person dot name, person dot city, person dot gender, right? So this system.out.println helps us to write a command, sorry, to print the values that you have stored for any reference variable, for any variable. Okay. Now how to run this program? You can right click over here and go to run as and then select Java application, or from here also you can run. From here also you can run. There is a run person.java option is coming, right? You can click over here also. This is the console where you can see all the output. You can see the output of the program. This is the first program I'm running for this project. That is why it is taking some time. Now see the values that I have stored. 30, Sunny, Kolkata, mail, right? So all the values that we have stored, now we can see over here. So this command is used to print the data that we store for a variable. Okay. So this is the program for the requirement of this diagram. If any doubt, you can ask, or we can move on.
Yeah, can you explain like how state and behavior is mapped with this example?
Can you come again? Your voice is a bit slow.
No, can you please explain like how the state and behavior is the theoretical concept is mapped with this
Yes.
example?
This is state. State I have explained. Behavior I will explain after this. State means a variable, a data that you are storing. So this is how you are creating a generic state, and for a specific person, you are storing the data, and then you are just printing. So this state means it will represent the state of a person. So for the person Sunny, this is the state. This is the data. Data I'm printing. Now we will have behavior. So for behavior, I will use different program, a meaningful program, so that you can understand. Before that, there is a one thing that is left is variable. Just now we have seen a reference variable. That is nothing but the object name. But apart from that, also we have some types of variables. Local variable, instance variable, and static variable. Static one I will discuss later, but today I will cover local and instance variable. So first of all, let's focus on the instance variable. A variable declared inside a class. These are the variables we have defined inside a class, but outside the body of the method. What is the body of this method? This is the body of the method. This main is also a method. This main is a method. Okay. This main is a method. This is but this one which we have defined here is outside of the method body, but within the class is known as instance variable. Like all these variables that you have declared over here are instance variable. Okay. This variable name is instance variable. Name, age, city, gender, all are instance variables because those are defined in a class. Okay. And one more thing, what is the purpose of this main method? Once you write your program, and once your JVM will run your program, so there must be some starting point. From that starting point only your program will be executed by the JVM. So how JVM will come to know what is the starting point for the program? So once you define this main method, so this will be the starting point for JVM. And from this, whatever you write inside this main method, all will be executed one by one. Like first it will execute this, now this. That means whatever you write inside main method, only that will be executed by the JVM and only that you will see as an output. Whatever you are defining here, those will not be executed. If you want to execute all this, you have to use this in the main method that I have already used here, right? That I already used in the main method. Then only I can see the output. The main method is the starting point for JVM to start executing your program. And only those things will be executed that you have kept in the main method, not those things that are outside of the main method. If you want to execute all this, use this in the main method with the help of objects. Then only it is possible. So this is the meaning of main method, and that is why we should always define main method whenever we write any Java program. Now, what is public, what is static, what is void, what is the string args, right? All this has a separate concept, separate classes that I will take. Then you will understand its meaning. But just remember, main is a method. It has a body. A variable cannot have a body. See, there is no body, but a method will have a body. So this is about stance variable. What is local variable? A variable declared inside the body of a method is known as local variable. Like, let's suppose under this main method, if you declare a variable called equal to 5, now a is a local variable because this is you have defined inside the method. Not only main method. If you create your own method that you will see just now, and inside that, if you define any variable, then that will become local. And now see the instance variable I have defined in the class, but I have used in the main method. But this local variable I have defined inside the main method, and this now can only be used inside the main method. If I give you an example, if I want to print A, then I will just call A. Okay. So here it is not giving me any error, but just after this main method, if I try to access it, it will give me the error. Right. Similarly, if I here I want to access, it will also give me an error. It means the scope of this local variable is only limited inside the method where you are creating it. You can use this variable only within the method, and other methods in the class are not even aware that the variable exists. That means it has an identity only inside this method. Outside this method, I do not know what is this. So a local variable has a scope only inside the method, but an instance variable has a scope entire the class. Wherever you want, you can use it. That is why in the main method, when I used it, it doesn't give me any error because this one can be used here, can be used here, can be used here. That means inside this class body, you can use anywhere this instance variable. But this local variable you can only use in the main body. That's it.
Can you please use that instant variables outside of method? Can you print that?
This one.
No, not that one. The class variables.
This one.
Yes. Yes.
See, you cannot define same variable with the same name 2 times. That is why it was giving me error. You have to give some other name. So now it is possible. Outside the main method I'm using, now it is possible.
No, but like as you mentioned, like instant variables can be used outside of overall class, right? Basically.
It is inside the class. This is the last body of the class. This is the
No, no,
entire
no.
class.
What I'm saying, the instant variables can be accessed outside of methods also, no? So how can we access that instant variables? global variables.
So you can create here and you can assign some value. If you want to print, that is not
Okay.
possible.
Yeah,
Because
that's what.
why it is not possible? Because the system.out.println, this command you can only use within the main method. Because you want to print something, right? And as I said, whatever you write inside the main method, that only will be executed. So that is why the command you have to write inside the main method. If you write this command here, it will give you an error for that particular command only. Because this is basically used to print something, and when it will be called, when you define it inside the main method. Outside the main method, if you try to define, there is no meaning. What is this? What is system out printed? It will not understand, because JVM not going to read this, not going to execute this. It will only read whatever you define inside the main method. Only this part they will
Oh, so,
JVM will read
yeah,
and it will execute.
yeah, but in which scenario we'll be using this instant variables outside of method?
So here I'm
Like
using
access.
outside the method. Means you can declare and you can give some value. Apart from that, you cannot do anything outside the main method.
Okay, okay, fine.
Okay.
So we
And
can't
one
able to
more
access
thing.
and we can't able to print also these
Yeah.
instance variables outside of
Yeah.
method, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only any operation which you want to see on the output, that you have to define inside this main method. Because JVM will only execute from this to this. It is not going to write what you have written here or what you have written here. JVM will not read this. It will start reading from this line to this line. That's it. So if you want to use all this here, or if you want to use this, anyway you have to access this inside the main method, and then you can perform any operations over there.
Okay. And so what is the significance of declaring these variables as a global? So any significance?
Yeah, this is I made it generic. Let's suppose you want to define the same thing for another variable, another person. Like same thing, you have created another object. This object will store the value for this person. Now I have created another object. Now what it will do? It will use the same generic reference variable, and now it will store the data for the another variable. Now let's suppose. Okay. So now I'm using same
Okay.
reference, same variable, but for different persons. And for every person, I have to create an object. And then I can store data for that person. Now I can create another object that will represent second person. And for the second person, I can store the data. So now for every time, I do not need to create very different variables also. Same variable I'm using for different persons.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is called reusability of same thing.
I have a question here.
Yes.
So we cannot create object for the local variables, right? We can
Yeah,
only
that
create
is the
object
correct
for it.
observation. For local variable, you do not need to access this with the help of object. With the help of object, you will only access the instance variable. Local variable can be accessed directly.
Okay, fine.
Okay. One thing is, once you declare, this is called variable declaration. Okay. This is called variable declaration. This is known as initialization. If you just declare a variable, just if you write a name and define data type, that this is not variable declaration. Once you assign any value, then its meaning is initialization. Now these two things you can do in a single line called integer equal to 5. Now here you have done initialization and declaration both. First you have declared, now you have initialized. Okay. So if you do not define any value, it is just a declaration. Once you define a value, it becomes initialization. Done. Now instance variable is done, local variable is done, reference variable, just the name of an object, how we can access the data, scope. Now everything we have discussed. And these are the small things which you have to remember. These are nothing but interview questions. That is why I'm giving some time for today and tomorrow. I will take some more time to explain everything in detail so that you can at least under your base will become strong for the course. Right. As of now, I'm removing this one. I do not need this. Okay. I'm removing. Do you want this program, or I can remove this?
Yes. Yeah, we want this program.
So I'm giving this. Whoever needs it, you can take it from the Skype. Okay. Now we have just learned about the state. Now we will learn about behavior. That means the method. Okay, so this is the class main method over there. Now behavior. Let's suppose an example of addition of two numbers. Okay. I want to do the addition of two numbers. This program I have to write. Now addition is an activity. It is not a state. So addition will be an activity, and for the activity, what we can do, we can create a method. How to create a method? So to create a method, first of all, you have to write the method name. In my case, I am doing the addition, so I will write addition. This is nothing but a variable. Once you write opening closing bracket, and once you give a body, now this has become variable. Now this is my method name, opening closing bracket, and a method body. This is method body, and this opening closing bracket is nothing but method signature. Still, it is giving me a error because we also have to define a return type of a method. As of now, I'm defining void. Why void? I will come to that. For void, I will come. For method signature, also I will come. But as of now, just focus on the method body. Okay. So how you can create a method? First of all, you have to define the return type. This is the return type. See. Okay. This is the method name. This is the method signature, and this is the method body. So you have to write four things, and then you can create a method. Okay. Under this method, what I have to do? What I want to do? I want to add two numbers. Okay. What is the two number? How I can store two numbers? Can anyone say? If I have to store two numbers, so how I can do that?
Plus symbol.
Sorry. How I can store two values in a program? Or how I
Using
can,
data type.
sorry, come again?
Using data type integer.
Not data type.
Variables. You can use
Variable you
variables
have
and
to
those
create.
other values.
Data type is a type, but where you can store values. So you have to create a variable. Okay. So for that, I'm creating a two variable in the class. I'm not defining any value. I will define value inside the addition method. If you want, you can define it also. Let's define it. This two number addition I want to do. So how I can do that? In this addition method, what I will do? I will write a
A plus
plus
B.
b. Okay, and I want to store this result also. So for that, what I can do, I can create a result variable. So now these two will be added, and the result will be stored in this variable result. After that, what I can do, I can print result. So it will give me the result of the addition method. Or if you want to customize it, the output. So what you can do, if you want to print it, suppose you want to print a message. So if you want to print any message, so you have to write the message in double quote. Addition result. And also you want to print the result, but where result is stored? The result is stored in a variable. So once you want to use a message also and a variable also, both thing you want to use inside system.println. So that is possible with the help of concatenation operation. This plus here known as concatenation. That means adding these two things together. This variable is not a message. This is a message. So message part you have to keep inside double quote. Then you have to write plus, and then you can use the variable with the help of concatenation operation. Okay. Now tell me how I can access. I want to print the addition. What I have to do? I want to print the addition of these two numbers. What I have to do? If I run this program, what will happen?
Not will get the output.
Why?
First, we need to create the object. We need to call, then we'll get the
Yeah.
output.
Yes, but
No, it,
just a simple answer is there is nothing in the main method. And we know that JVM can only start executing from the main method. So there is nothing. So there won't be any output if I run this. So currently it is in red. Now it is terminated. No output. Now my second question, I want to access this here. How I can do that? This is nothing but a behavior of a class. How I can access the behavior of a class?
by creating an object.
By creating an object. Similarly, like how we can access the state by creating an object. So similarly, how we can access a behavior by creating an object. So I will create an object. So how we can create an object? New, and then I have to give a object name. So I will write person and add. Now I will write add dot. The addition option is coming. Now this method, this is known as method calling. That means from here you are calling this method. Once you will call the method from the main method by the help of object, now whatever you have written inside this will be executed inside this addition method. Okay, this is called method calling. You are calling this one. Once you call something, What it will do? It will do the operation for you. So what operation it can do? It can do the addition. Now let's run this. So addition result is 15. Let's make it more customized. Addition result 15. Done. So this is how we can create a method and we can call a method. We can call a method and this method will perform the activity. Okay. Done. I will take 10 more minutes. One thing is there. This is instance variable. Now I have a question. This is an instance variable. When I used here, so I used it with the help of object dot then variable name. But here I have just used it directly without the help of object. How it is possible?
Because it's not in the main method.
Correct. It is not inside the main method. Under the main method, if you have to access instance variable, you have to call it with the help of object. But inside the class, you can use it directly. This is inside the class, outside the main, so you can use it directly. Okay. Now next thing, method signature. What is method signature? It is also known as parameter. It is also known as this method signature contains parameters or arguments. Okay. This is method signature. This can contains parameters or argument. So which kind of argument or parameter it can contains?
Just data type.
A data it can store. So a parameter or argument is nothing but a data. So how you can store a data? By creating a variable, right? What this method will do? It will do the addition of two numbers. So here I am declaring two variables. Now this method has two argument or two parameter. You can say one is A, one is B. A is integer type, B is integer type. In the method signature, we do not give any value to the data, to the variable. We just declare the variable in the method signature. Always remember. Here we have just declared the variable. Now this method is holding two arguments in the signature. Now here it is giving you an error. Why? Because now this method is holding two argument. Once you call this, you have to pass the value. Now error has gone. Two argument, for two argument it needs two value. So while calling you can pass two value. Since it is an integer type, so you have to pass integer value. If you pass decimal value, it will give you error. Okay, so now once you define any parameter inside the signature, while calling it, can you increase the font? It's just 5 minutes left. Can I complete it? Like it will take some time. I do not know from here how to increase it. So I will do it from the next class. Okay. Plus plus. Thank you. Now add dot addition. I need to pass two value 5 and 10. I have passed. Done. So now when this method will be called, A will be initialized to A, 5 will be initialized to A, 10 will be initialized to B, 5 into 10 equal to 15, and it will display the output. the result. Okay, so this is the second type of method. Once first one we have seen without any method signature. Second one we have seen with a method signature, right? This is the second type of method. So this one is also done. Now the third type is return. This is a return statement. If you do not want your, if you want your method will not return anything, that means it will just do the activity. That's it. Returning means after performing all the activity, this method will return an output. This is known as method return. A method will return an output, but I do not want to return anything. So in that case, I will write void. Void means it will not return anything. But let's suppose I want to return this result. Like what this method will do, it will just do the addition and it will return the result. How you can return? With the help of return keyword. So we'll write return and the output which you want to return. Okay. And in my case now, what type of data I am returning? I'm returning an integer data. So here I have to write integer. Instead of void, I will write integer. If I do not have to return anything, I will write void. If I have to return anything, so first of all, I have to know which type of data I want to return. So in my case, I want to return an integer data. So at the return type, I will mention as integer. Just the data type I have to mention. So now, once this one will be called, we'll add this to number, it will store the result and it will return the result to this line. Okay. Now this is returning a value to this line. And I want to print the result also. So I have to store the data which is returning by this method. So which type of data it is returning? Again, an integer. So here I can write integer. So once this line will be called, what will happen? It will do the addition. It will return the result 15. Now it is holding 15. If I am creating a variable of integer, so it will store that 15 to this result. Now I can print. Okay. I run. Same thing is happening. Yeah. So this is how you can return a data also from a method. After returning from the method calling, you can call, it will be returned. And at the method calling point, you can store the result, the return data, and then you can do whatever you want to do. Okay. So there are three things which we can do with the help of a method. One, there is a method with no return type and no argument. One is a method which will have an argument. One can be a method which will have only return type, will not have any argument, and one will be a method which will have return type also and which will have signature also, argument also. So four type of you can define, you can create a method of four different types based on the requirement. Based on the requirement, we have to understand which type of method I have to create, whether it will have a return type or not, whether it will have an argument or not, right? So this thing we can decide based on the requirement. So all the options I have explained you regarding the method. Okay. So that's all for today's class. Tomorrow we will see the next topic. Right? If you have any doubt, you can ask. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you.